Holy City Center Radio is episode 156, and I am your host, Christian Sanger. Today is Monday, August 7th, 2023. The weekend is over. Hopefully you had a good one. Mine was quiet, but I'm certainly not complaining. Was happy to lay low, do some work, and just do some fun stuff on my own. Not having any pressure, no plans of any kind. So very quiet, but I'm a-okay with that. Hopefully, whatever you did was fun and worthwhile, and you had a great weekend. And this week will hopefully go by quickly if you're going to be busy working. Not a lot going on in Holy City Centerland as well, so don't have a lot to talk about up at the top here. Just going to get you caught up on some of the latest stories as usual. We have a bizarre mix of politics and reality television and crime. You just never know what you're going to hear in this podcast. It just all depends on what's going on in town, and Charleston and the state in general like to keep it interesting, that's for sure. So without any further delay, let's get into it. Former President Donald Trump on Saturday night was here in South Carolina for an event. He said at that event that he will win February's GOP South Carolina primary. He made that claim during a speech at the South Carolina Republican Party's Silver Elephant Dinner. No surprises that he was making those claims. He likes to make claims. I don't know if you know this about him, but this might actually be true. There's no indication that he won't win the South Carolina primary. I mean, he is dominating pretty much all over the country as far as, running against his GOP competitors. But he's got a few things that might be a little bit of a hang up. I don't know if you've heard this, but he might not exactly be on the up and up on some things and is facing several criminal indictments. He's got some court case. I don't know if you've heard this at all. I know this is probably under the radar, but no, of course you're aware, and he is facing even more crimes after a recent indictment. But it's not slowing down the campaign train for him, that's for sure. At this event, Governor Henry McMaster, no surprise, was there. He's a longtime supporter of Trump's. I believe he was the first governor in the country to endorse him back in 2016. His support has never wavered at any point, it seems, despite, things like trying to overturn an election or, the January 6th riot at the Capitol. McMaster's always been in his corner, so no surprise there. Not only was he in attendance, he introduced the former president to the crowd. And during his portion of speaking, he also attempted to poke holes in the indictments that Trump is facing. Once the big guy took the stage, it was a more than an hour-long speech that he gave. He was, as I mentioned, he's fresh off of his third appearance in court as a criminal defendant. Despite that, he delivered a speech during which he insulted the prosecutors and said the charges he's facing will only help his 2024 presidential bid. Saturday's appearance in Columbia was Trump's second political speech. He appeared in Alabama on Friday, since pleading not guilty last Thursday to crimes related to his efforts to overturn the results of the 2020 election, the election that he lost. And although it's his third criminal indictment this year, this case seems like it's probably going to be the most serious, as the federal government is saying that he orchestrated a scheme to block the peaceful transfer of power. If you haven't looked into the indictment at all, and you certainly don't have to read the whole thing if you don't want to, it is interesting, but there are plenty of news outlets that are kind of giving you the highlights. You should definitely look into it. A lot has come out, in the hearings they had, the January 6th hearings, and great reporting in the past by journalists here in this country. There's not a ton of new things, but a couple other details, and just a reminder of just how far he was willing to go to try to reverse the results of the election, and what people around him were willing to do the same, and helping to direct him and giving him advice and saying what would work, what might not work. And it's scary how close we came to that peaceful transfer of power being interrupted for several reasons. But yeah, it's a good reminder for those who, maybe aren't catching the news as often or trying to ignore stuff. It's a good reminder of what his presidency was like, especially at the end, and what we could be facing if he wins again, which, despite all these indictments, he is still leaps and bounds over all his other competitors and is likely to get the GOP nomination. So just he's here in South Carolina, so it was fresh off these indictments. So that's why we're talking about it. I'd rather not discuss him anymore ever again. But here we are. So I encourage you to look into that and just buckle up because it's going to be quite the ride as he is going to be campaigning while also dealing with all these cases. He's going to have to appear in court. It'll be fascinating, if not scary at sometimes, this whole process. But yes, former President Trump here in South Carolina, fresh off his latest set of indictments. Switching gears, this might infuriate you too. It depends, though. Some people adore reality television and love this show. Although I know in Charleston, it sometimes feels like the hatred towards Southern charm, of course, is what we're talking about, is bigger here than anywhere in the country. Of course, that's going to happen when a reality show, is filmed in a particular city. The people in those cities are generally going to find some reason to dislike it. But it is a popular show, which again, people here sometimes don't realize. Anytime I post about the show, inevitably you get comments, the ones you expect. But a lot of people, how is this show still on? How is this not canceled? I can't believe this is still going. And the reason for that is the ratings are good. Just because here in town, a lot of people don't like it for sometimes good reasons, sometimes, ones they've made up in their head. You forget that across the country, Bravo fans are obsessed. They are loyal. They will watch all these shows and they get good ratings. So it should be no surprise that Southern Charm is returning for a ninth season. And yeah, that's right, 9. Can you believe it? It first premiered on Bravo back in March of 2014. And here we are 9 seasons later. It is returning next month. So yes, the ninth season of this reality show based in Charleston will officially return on Thursday, September 14th at 9 p.m. In addition to announcing the release date, Bravo also put out a trailer, which you can see on holycitycenter.com. Just go to the show notes for this episode. It'll link to my post about the return of the show, and you can watch that trailer. No surprise, you will see plenty of drama, fighting, boozing, new romances, rumors, hookups, all the good stuff you're used to with really any reality show, but particularly with Southern Charm. As expected, not a whole lot of surprises. Some stuff has been leaked. Catherine Dennis is not returning. We knew that. And we talked about that in that podcast here. But a lot of cast members are coming back, including Vanita Aspen, Leva Bonaparte, Craig Conover, Olivia Flowers, Taylor Ann Green, Austin Kroll, Madison LaCroix, and Shep Rose. There will be 3 new cast members this year. These I did not know, and I don't think there was much information out about them until this trailer was released. The new cast members are all men. One is Jarrett Thomas, the other is Rodrigo Reyes, and the final one is Rod Arazavi. I actually know Rod. I haven't met the other 2 and don't know much about them. But I do know Rod. We've crossed paths a bunch of times. We've talked through social media and stuff. He's friends with some people I was friends with, and that's how we kind of met. And I've always liked Rod. He's a nice guy. He's funny. So I'm interested to see what it's going to be like seeing him on the show. This is the first time that someone is going to be a new cast member in the show that I actually know a little bit. The rest are usually people I've never heard of, or maybe I recognize their face because I've seen them out in town with some of the other cast members previous to them being on the show or what have you. But yeah, so it'll be interesting. It's the first time I actually know someone a little bit that's going to be on the show. So hopefully for Rod, it'll be a good experience for him because man, reality TV, I wouldn't want to be on that. That's for sure. There will also be some people who appeared on the show in the past but are not official cast members, or at least main cast members. Pat Allschultz, Whitney Sudler Smith, and Paige DeSorbo, who is Craig Conover's girlfriend, will also be back in the show in some capacity. You can see them in the trailer. So, love it or hate it, Southern Charm is returning. Season 9 premieres Thursday, September 14th at 9 p.m. Last story today was late breaking on Sunday when I was recording this episode. Police are investigating a shooting that left one person dead on Sunday morning in downtown Charleston. According to the Charleston Police Department, officers responded to reports of an injured man on the ground near Johnson and America Street at 10:58 a.m. Police say that the officials located this man who was suffering from gunshot wounds and rendered aid until EMS was able to arrive. The victim was then transported to a local hospital where unfortunately he was ultimately pronounced dead. So far, the investigation has revealed that this incident occurred at a home on Stewart Street, but the victim fled after he was shot and eventually collapsed nearby that home where he was. That's why when he was found, he was at Johnson and America Streets, but they believe the shooting occurred at a home on Stewart Street. Police have also confirmed that the shooting was an isolated incident and there is no ongoing threat to the community. If you have any information about this incident, because so far there has been no arrest, so if you have any information whatsoever, you are asked to contact the on duty CPD, that's Charleston Police Department, of course, Central Detective. That phone number is 843 720 2422. That'll do it for this Monday edition of Holy City Center Radio. I hope you have a great day and a great rest of your week. I believe, if I remember correctly, and I'm terrible at remembering some plans, and I'm just trying to focus on today. But I believe I have a couple like preview type events, similar to what was it like a week or two ago now, where I was invited to an event to check out the Indigo Road Hospitality Group's new event venue, The View. And, so you get to check out some new spots before they open. And I like to do that and kind of pass on word to you all what I saw and what the venues look like and things. So I believe I have a couple of those coming up this week. If not this week, the next. So I'm looking forward to checking out some new spots that are getting ready to open. And hopefully, I'll have some good things to tell you all about those. So be sure to subscribe to the podcast so when I do provide feedback like that, you're not missing out. Plus, you don't want to miss out anyway. We always got the top news getting you caught up here on anything happening in Charleston and the South Carolina area in general. And while you're subscribing, please like, rate, review, or anything else you can do on the streaming platform you're listening on. All of that helps expand the podcast to more people. I also want to thank Cole Collins with LMC Sound System for producing this and every episode of Holy City Center Radio, and Tyler Boone, whose music you hear in each episode as well. I look forward to speaking to you all again on Wednesday. Until then, good night and good luck.